Alright, so we'll start with this. Let's see if I can center that in a little better. There we go. You see the white and the black, and you can also see this material. This is a super light material. It also floats on water if removed from the stone. These are more dense, but the professor that I talked to described them as solidified foam. Well, ultimately, he didn't actually run any tests on it. He has no ability to run any tests at his actual lab that he was using for carbon. So, realistically, this is a carbon. I'm pretty sure you'll see what I mean as you start to see the materials come together. This is definitely not a slag. And their reason for calling it slag is that I won't say that some of the pieces don't resemble it to some extent, but it's a burnt material, and they have never seen anything like it, so it's kind of, I don't know, taboo to them. I don't know. I just think, as far as it goes, they should put a little more effort into it, because, I mean, in these pieces alone, I've seen green, which is like a sign of olivine, which is also common with meteorites. They explain this as solidified dirt, which I can almost explain that. I can understand that. But at the same time, though, they're not doing much to really explain any of it. They're just taking really lazy leaps at nothing. This piece is basically the modified version of this piece. As you can see it, there are other pieces. I just have to dig them out. But it's roughly the same, you know. It has the same white materials within it, the black. So ultimately, this turns into this, which turns into something like this. There are a few different variations I've seen. I've seen olivine of, like, I'm pretty sure it's olivine. I found 8 different materials that have been linked to this stone altogether, but you find them all put together into one stone, so you know they're all linked together because they're in one stone, you know? So it's kind of hard to dispute that there's something unique about them when you're finding this all together, at least in my opinion. And then, basically, I just made a video about this stuff, but this is what I believe, and this is just a wild guess, I'm not gonna lie. But this material right here, I believe, is the unmodified version of this super light material right here, before it had its catastrophic event where it was created, producing nanodiamonds. It takes a lot of pressure and heat to create diamonds, and like generally large events in space can create them to some degree, but I don't know. It's not impossible to find diamonds in space. A lot of geologists will say that it's impossible to find diamonds from space, but it's not impossible. It's just highly, highly improbable, because, I mean, with all the more materials in space that we don't even know about that come here daily, you have to take into consideration that you have to weed through all of those just to find something, you know? And meteorites are a lot more common than they even, like, want to, like, tell you. Just the problem is they're only acknowledging an iron and nickel ratio type of meteorite, more or less. As far as they're concerned, carbon meteorites are like unicorns, even though they're not that rare. I mean, I'm not going to say they're not rare, because they definitely are rare. They're just not as rare as they're making them out to be. A lot of the problem is when they find meteorites, these universities and shit, they go stand out and they'll go out on like the lakes or something, and they'll see a black rock, and then somebody will report it, and then, oh my god, it's a meteorite. It's like, oh yeah, cool, you guys do no fucking work, and then when people actually go out there and do some work to find the shit, you fucking harass them over it, or refuse to help them. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be so aggressive about it, but I'm passionate about it. I put a lot of years into researching. This is kind of what, like, one of them looks like. It's not the best example, because it's hard to notice it. But before it's broken and you can see everything inside, you can see that super light material that floats. This is one of the kind of gemmy ones that you were just looking at before it's broken. If you look, it actually resembles to some degree what an iron meteorite looks like. How it's melted and material dispositioning and things like that, creating rigmaglyphs. Those are thumbprints across the surface, basically. Unique indentations. I don't know. But ultimately, I can see how they're related. I don't see how any one of these people that I've talked to cannot at least see some degree of relation between them when they're all in one stone. And then to call it slag when it's found in an area that's completely excavated several times, over the matter of several miles. I mean, these are all trademark signs that a meteorite, you know. And yes, I take it into consideration that people might have put this here, but again, you do enough research and you start to realize there's certain things that are just kind of not likely, you know. People are not very likely to go throw rocks around, take 3 hours to go do it, you know. And I don't know. I was more surprised that nobody else was somewhat interested with it. I guess again, with me. Here's another sample of that super light material. It's just, I don't know. I don't think this one has actually formed all the way to where it makes crystals. I found different degrees. It's like the rarest of the materials I found, though. I think I only found about 2 ounces of it, which is pretty rare considering how much of this actual rock I found. And I want to say, I do search for other rocks. I do go other places. So I do generally know when I see something kind of weird. And I also research. So at the end of the day, their arguments are these are vesicular, that they think they're slag, and the problem with that is that vesicles can be formed in other planets. All it takes is basically the presence of gases and some atmosphere to some degree. Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty sure at one point Mars and the Moon easily could have made vesicles. And then basically, like I said, they were trying to say that they were just slag, and it's like, no, they were found in an excavated area completely. And these are not slag. I mean, I can see some of the things that they might try calling slag, but it's like, this shit's gemstones. At least some of it is. There's actual, like, crystal structure to it. And when you actually get into, like, learning anything about glass, glass has its own, well, most gemstones, too, have their own fracture plane, I think it's called, fracture plane. How it actually fractures when you break it. So, it doesn't match up to the glass fracture. Which, to me, is just kind of, again, like a trademark laziness thing, because it's like nothing they're saying makes any damn sense as far as could it not be. And that's why I keep fighting with this. And I will keep fighting. Maybe it's my life goal to figure out what the hell these stones are, but I will. Anyways, have a good day, everybody.